DOT is good too. Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's where we're.
6, 7, 8. Got a quorum.
We just got our.
Good afternoon.
Starting over rocks and finding more. Okay. And
Hey, good afternoon. I'd like to call the October 19th, 2017 MCAG meeting to order, and we'll begin with roll call. We'll do that next.
Call the 8 names that are here. Forget it.
Simultaneously say here.
Chair Rodrigo? Chair Rodrigo? Vice Chair McCabe? Director Lohr? Here. Director McDaniel? Director Pereira?
Here.
Director O'Banion?
Here.
Director Price?
Here.
Director Hoag? Here. Director Oliveira?
Here.
Director Vialta?
Here.
Director Murphy?
And we do have a quorum.
Correct.
And now we're going to start the real meeting and have the pledge to the flag, led by our council.
Oh, really?
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Do we have an invocation today? No?
Nope.
Okay. Approval of the agenda is presented, or are there changes?
Out from staff.
No changes?
Move to approve?
Motion Pereira. Is there a second, Lohr? Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Public comment. Anyone in the public who wishes to speak on a matter that's of importance to MCAG may come forward and do so at this time, and you will be limited to 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Hello, members. I'm David Garcia of Merced. I'm here to congratulate MCAG Transit. Let me explain a little bit. But first, I'd like to remind you of what I said the last time I spoke to you. I told you that just like a farmer can look at another farmer's crop and see when something is wrong, not everything, but you can see, a trained and experienced mechanic can look and see when something is wrong with a vehicle, such as a bus. Please keep that in mind. Remember, I have over 30 years of training experience. I'm not perfect, but I do have that training experience. Now, I've come before you from time to time and told you of how the maintenance and operations provider put in place by your transit manager has, among other things, put drivers with expired certifications on routes transporting passengers, which is illegal. How the maintenance provider removed the pollution control devices from some of your buses, which is unhealthy and illegal. How the maintenance staff is literally too stupid to change a light bulb when they put an amber tail light in place of a red light, which is unsafe and illegal. Well, now you have graduated. Recently, I was waiting at the stoplight at 15th and R Street when one of your large coach buses came to a stop on 15th Street, and I noticed suspension moving in ways it absolutely should not be moving. That scared me. I remember thinking, how can he keep that thing on the road? Let me simplify suspension for you. On a bus, you have the ground platform. This is where the wheels, tires, axles, brakes, the steering, and the propulsion is located. Then you have the bus platform, you know, the big box you put people in? This box is where the controls for brakes, steering, and propulsion are located. Suspension is a system that connects the two platforms. It allows the bus to go along and insulates or cushions the passenger platform as it goes along the road from the bumps in the road. If the two platforms get separated, you have no control. Do not forget what happened last summer near Livingston. Yes, if your bus hits a pole, it will slice through it like a hot knife through butter. And with your current maintenance provider that is cheaper than your former provider, Merced County Public Works, you are well on your way to such a situation. There is a reason they are cheaper. Well, congratulations, you have graduated from operating a bus system that is just unsafe and illegal to one that is, in my opinion, outright dangerous. Now, whether you continue to be a part of that equation is totally up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one come forward, we'll go on with the agenda. First item on the agenda is the minutes of the Regional Waste Management Authority for September 21st, the Transit Joint Powers Authority minutes for September 21st, and the MCAG Governing Board meeting also September 21st. Entertain a motion to approve those minutes, or are there corrections?
Move to approve.
Who was that, Jim? Joe?
Joe.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Secondly, discussion or comments, anyone? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Next, we have the oral report on Merced County Regional Waste Management, and I think probably Marty's going to give that report.
Thank you. Marty Yerrick in for Brooks. First thing out of the tonnage update is that you probably noticed is the big spike at Highway 59. Most of that and that big spike is from the Mariposa Detweiler fire debris. It's been coming in since the beginning of September. We've been taking it for about a month and a half now. And during that month and a half, we have taken in about $1.5 million in that month and a half, just off that project alone. So that's, and I did want to mention that the guys have been working extremely hard, not only there, but also at Billy Wright. You see their tonnage is up also. Also with staff down a little bit and equipment down a little bit, they've been taking in twice as much tonnage as they normally do and working twice as long. They've been really putting it in this last month and a half. Just wanted to let you guys know that. I see it every day, but I wanted to let you know that. Also, another project that we have going on, and just got finished here last week, was our landfill well project. As Brooks has been telling you, we've been putting in about 7 wells at the top of our phase 1 through 4 to alleviate the pressure of our gas migrating out to the east, and these 7 wells should help that. We have some fine tuning to do on it over the next month, but I bet by the next month, Brooks will have some information for you guys on how that's getting us back into compliance out on the east side. Along with the gas, we can talk about the UC Merced project. Brooks also met with the UC last week, and he wanted me to tell you that they have verbally agreed to purchase our gas and use it for all of their electricity over the whole site. We haven't had that agreement yet, but they never knew exactly how much they wanted to purchase. They did say that they wanted our gas, but they never said actually how much. But now they have verbally agreed that they want it all for their electricity. So that's big. And they're also interested in a second unit come maybe in 2020 whenever their population goes up in 2020. So that's all good news there. About the 600-acre parcel out at Billy Wright, we're looking to possibly purchase. Staff has met with the county planning yesterday along with council, and county planning had no issues whatsoever on their behalf of why we shouldn't be able to purchase it, because we are looking at putting a entrance road coming from the Highway 152 and 33 alongside of 152, using the current infrastructure that's already there, and to come into that if we were possibly to purchase this land. So we wanted to meet with them to make sure that there was any right-of-way issues or not. Again, they didn't have a problem with anything. But there were still some hurdles that we'll have to jump through. And we're not there yet, but we wanted to make sure that it was okay with them, any issues with them. I know Brooks has also brought up to you about an LED sign that we purchased here recently. It's already up, mounted, and at top of the scale house, and it's going to give a number of information along with safety, some events that are coming along, like Saturday schedule. A lot of them it's always a little mixed up when on certain Saturdays we're only open half a day, certain Saturdays we're open full day. Community cleanups that are coming up, some HHW events, which, by the way, we're having this Saturday at the Highway 59 if anybody's interested. And mostly a lot of information on different schedules and such. I think that's about it for the update.
Any questions of staff? Thank you, Marty. The next item is amendment of a contract with Remy, Moose, and Manley LLC for environmental work at the landfill.
Correct. This is an extension of a current contract. They are our specialized legal counsel for environmental issues, and we've been working for them for a long. They've been working for us for a long time, and we foresee keeping them on for some other issues with the UC project and possibly the Billy Wright project.
And it's a 3-year contract, $25,000 a year.
That's correct.
Is there a motion? Move by Lower, seconded by Murphy. Any comments or further discussion? Anyone in the public wish to comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Dumas. Tom Dumas. Caltrans report.
Where to
Thank
start?
you.
Where to start? Thank you. Let's do good news. Congratulations. You folks got 2 grants approved through the CTC for ATP projects. You probably already know it, so I'm preaching to the choir, but if you don't, your Delhi Community Project for bike and ped connectivity and the Plainsburg Complete Streets upgrades both got approved through funding for them. So I think both of those are a little over $1 million, $1.5 million. So that'll be good. Tracked down a couple of things for Board Member Rodrigo. Unfortunately, Peach in Sultana is no longer in Caltrans right-of-way. We gave that back to you in 2009, so lighting at that would be on a county issue. Got the off-ramp fixed at LeGrand, where that drop-off was. And, we had a long conversation with the folks from Livingston. Steve and I probably had an hour-and-a-half teleconference with them and came out with a laundry list of improvements and things to track down. A couple of those are older issues, but I think we'll make good headway on those. Separate thing, the state rail plan for 2040 came out. It's out for a 60-day public review. If you'd like, I can get you the website, and you can track it down and give it a read at your convenience. It's out until December 11th for comments. And after we had that meeting at Merced College out at Los Banos, came across something that might be helpful for the future for funding, the Congested Corridors Program. I've got the draft guidelines and funding for that the bike pedestrian trail out there might be a source for them. I don't know if it'll make the cut all the way through, considering it's looking at congested corridors, but acquisition of equipment and providing trails and that sort of thing as alternate transportation would fit as a category. So, Patrick, if you don't mind, give me a call one day. We can talk about it once I get the guidelines that no longer say draft, and we can see what we can figure out on that. And as usual, now it's your turn.
Your turn or my turn?
It's free range.
Well, thank you for all the work that you do.
Well, thank you.
Does anyone have comments? Mike?
We're still on schedule.
You got a microphone there?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can hear him, but
That's what I feel. How about that?
That's
We're
better.
still on schedule for October 23rd to the 26th to repave 152?
that's my understanding.
Okay.
That's my understanding. And they have the Larry from our traffic safety looking at that crossing signal thing they'd like to use. I'm hoping that everything will work out fine with that and they can move on. It'd be good. I'd like to get that off my list of recurring things.
Well, I wasn't
Sure
going to
you
bring
would
that
too.
up, but
I know.
I'm just hoping no one gets hurt at that intersection. Thank you.
Other comments or questions? Lloyd?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Tom. Thank you for doing the on-ramp at LeGrand Road. I was the one
welcome.
that brought that up, so thank you.
Getting old, I forget a lot.
Yeah. Two items. North Highway 59 between Bellevue and Tahoe. I think 2 or maybe now it's been 3 years ago you did Tahoe south, but the road is coming apart. The top layer actually has holes through it. They're not really potholes. They're more in the traffic
Kind of like
lane.
that alligator cracking, they call it.
It's weird. It's not like I've seen before. So anyways, just if you could get a
Have 'em
chance
check it
to
out.
send the guys through to look at it. And then I had a request from the constituents in Hillmar.
Uh-huh.
The intersection of 165 and American. Okay. They are requesting that off of American, right now, both directions get the green light at the same time. And they would like for them to be offset because if you're headed east, there's no turn lane. And so people will be stopped there waiting to turn left, and then people are coming around them on the right. And then so the people that are turning left that are headed west, and then headed south or making that left turn, there's been accidents, nothing too serious, I guess, because of the slow speed. But anyways, I brought it up to Dana at Public Works, and so he's going to take a look at it and give you guys a call.
Okay,
But
I'll
wanna
get a
give
hold
you-
of operations and see if there's something they can do with that.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Joe?
We finally have a meeting set up in Gustine with Caltrans through Carla Cook. I don't know if Samuel Jordan's coming down or,
Yeah.
but we're going to be able to catch his ear on the concerns we have for pedestrian safety as long as vehicle safety, and hopefully something will come of it. And we did add another heart along the highway. Every time we have a fatality on 33, we put a broken heart at the intersection, but Caltrans won't let us put it on the highway unless it's in a crosswalk, so we have to put it on the side street intersection. But those hearts are getting collected too often now between traffic and foot traffic, so hopefully we can get some safety measures taken.
I never found any real details on it other than what the paper had. It sounded like it was near 8 o'clock.
It was
at the
dark.
intersection where there is a crosswalk and a street light, but there's nothing else really around there that's
No.
slowing things down.
No, it was, just at the right time of the night that I think the pedestrian blended into the background and got taken out.
I'm glad Samuel's folks have gotten it.
Yeah, hopefully we can get something done. Thank you.
Thank you.
April?
Hi. I just wanted to ask, who's responsible for the vegetation cleanup off of the off-ramps that come off the freeway? If you're going onto 33, like the Y, have you ever looked at that? Okay, the Y is not a pretty place, but the vegetation around it is makes it really an eyesore.
If it's in our right of way, it's ours. But our maintenance crew has a lot of ground to cover, so it's kind of tough for them to get around to all the areas. But I'll mention it to them. Hopefully they can get out there. I've had that very same place over the years brought up to me by other people that are near and dear to us. But I'll get that out to them.
He's going to be retiring, so it's going to be me talking to
Well,
you.
you'll eventually get on my speed dial, so it'll be all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it on now? Somebody shut it off. Because I never turned it on in the first place. Anyhow, thank you. Next is the consent agenda, and that's items A, and B. Fiscal year 2017-18 local transportation fund claims, and the 2017 Federal Transportation Improvement Program, formal amendment number 8. Any discussion on those two items? If not, I entertain a motion to approve as presented. Murphy, motion, second. Joe? Further discussion, or anyone in the public have comments on those two items? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Number 12 is a oral report on Measure V update from Stacy Dabbs.
Thank you. I brought props with me today, but I'm going to leave them to the end because it's the fun part. Okay, Measure V, I want to mention a couple of things. For our financials, I know that our finance director has been sending emails as we've been getting the allocation, so you've been getting the spreadsheet of kind of tracking how that money has been coming in. So the main things to note are that we have received those first 3 months that we had talked about. These estimates, they come in as estimates, so they've been about $880,000 a month, and then at the end of that third month they do a true up, and then we got that extra payment to kind of balance out what was actually generated as opposed to just the base estimates that we were receiving. So since that time, we've also, and I should say at that juncture, once we trued up for those first 3 months, we were $150,000 over what we projected for that time frame. So that's good news. And since that, we've received our allocations for July and August, and those again were the $880,000. So we would anticipate once we receive September that those 3 months we would have another true up, and then we would be back on schedule. So recognizing that the last two payments are low because they are based on the estimate, we're at a grand total of $5,655,621. And I will mention that in the first 3 months, the true up payment was actually higher. It was like $1.2 million or something like that. So it was like an extra month's payment and then some. So we would expect that to go up, but I will keep you updated there. You hopefully have on your calendars the next East and West Regional Projects Committee meetings. Those are November 8th and 9th. That's November 8th from 10 to 12 for the east side, and that'll be in Merced. We're, I believe, still hammering down a location, but it'll either, if not at City Hall, will be across the street at the Business Resource Center. And then for the west side, November 9th from 10 to 12 in Gustine, and I believe I talked to Doug about potentially doing it at City Hall, so we're hammering those out. But we'll get those details to you when the agendas go out here in the next week or so. The financial advisor. So we are now under contract with K&N Public Finance for the financial advisor services, and we have them scheduled to be part of the board retreat on November 17th. So that will be the first time that we'll be meeting with them and starting to hear about what our project financing tools and options could be for Measure V. We will try to place it strategically in the day so that if you have, if your city managers or your finance directors or you have other key staff that will be working on the measure can attend and don't have to sit through the whole day of the workshop. They can just come. It'll likely be in the afternoon. We're loosely targeting that 1 to 3 time frame at the end, but we'll have a full agenda for the retreat, and Patrick will talk more about that in a minute. So then the last thing I want to mention about Measure V. Today, our consultant delivered signs. So we used part of our budget for our professional services contract. We purchased a couple hundred signs that are lawn signs, essentially, that can help you all if you're starting to do. I know Gustine's going to be doing some work really quickly on some a Measure project, and many of you have done combined project lists for Measure V and SB1, and we've been working on also helping kind of get the word out about the work that's being done on SB1 in combination with Measure V. So we ordered signs. Each of your jurisdictions will get them. They were allocated based on population and road miles. So I think at the low end, some of the smaller communities had 20. The higher end, higher populations with the county and the city got 50. But your staff also received a thumb drive with all the templates to design and print as many signs as you want of just Measure V, just SB1. But the ones that we provided are a combination. So you'll get signs like this with the metal stakes that your public works folks can put out on your projects if they are, in fact, funded by SB1 and Tom. I don't think you've seen these yet. So these are delivered to your staff today along with a thumb drive with all the template. The other is These are magnets. So your staff also received a couple sets of these big magnets to go on your vehicles. There, I think, 2 or 4 signs, I can't remember, but the template is also provided in the flash drive with all the other materials and the logos so that your public works departments can make more if they want or what have you. But we thought just to get you jump started, as some of you are getting work done soon, if you're interested, you will have these materials available to you. I think that's it, unless anyone has questions.
Patrick suggested that maybe he'd like to have one of those for his fridge.
Well, he does have a mini fridge in the. I think it's too big. I think the magnet's too big.
Any questions of Stacy? Thank you.
Welcome.
Very much. Next, we have the oral report from Regional Transportation Plan, Matt Fell. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you. 2 basic things to talk about. One is workshops. So we have our round 2 workshops coming up. The first one is on Monday in Los Banos. They're all going to be at council chambers at 6:30. So that one's Monday. And then we'll be in Livingston on Wednesday, the 25th. And then in Merced on Thursday, November 2nd. So we'll have some exhibits and people can look at the different options or scenarios, we're calling them, for the RTP, and they get to vote. So we've distributed some flyers, and hopefully those have gone far and wide, and we'll get some good turnout. And for folks who can't come to a workshop, we'll also have the stuff online so that they can do it that way, and they can vote on a survey online. So we'll hopefully get lots of participation there, and then we'll compile all those results, and we'll be coming back to you next month to get some direction on how to proceed with preparing the draft. So then the other thing that's going on is a few months ago, we talked about the Air Resources Board setting new greenhouse gas reduction targets. And I think we talked about it a little bit last month as well. And they were supposed to take action this month in October, but they postponed that action to November 16th, same day as your November board meeting. And so we're in a place where we don't know exactly where we stand with the development of the RTP, and it's a really awkward place to be, but that's where we are. So these greenhouse gas reduction targets are what the Sustainable Community Strategy component of the RTP has to go by. Currently, the 2035 target is a 10% reduction. The staff at ARB is proposing that the Merced number be bumped up to 14%, but that's just the staff recommendation. We don't know what the board's going to do. I did want to let you know that Patrick submitted a comment letter on the draft staff report, and then the final ARB staff report came out, and it's basically the same thing as it was before. So there were lots of comments about lots of different things, and including in our comment was just the awkwardness of the timing. You know, we're developing this RTP, and that's a key performance measure, and we don't know where it's going to land. So that really puts us in a tough spot. But because of the federal rules and the timing there, we have to go down, this schedule that we're on right now. So just wanted to make sure you're aware of that, and we'll keep you updated on that. And we may or may not have that number at your November meeting, because it depends on when the ARB takes action, if that's before or after your meeting. So if you have any questions on any of that stuff, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions? Lloyd?
No, sir.
No. Okay, that's all on that item?
Mm-hmm.
Next item is the public hearing draft 218 Regional Transportation Improvement Plan Program.
Yeah, thank you. So last month, you directed us to prepare a draft RTIP that programs $5.5 million to Livingston median northbound, and Caltrans is proposing to do southbound and northbound widening of 99 through Livingston and Delhi. And so that draft RTIP is in your agenda packet, and we have to have a public hearing on it. And if you have any questions, I could answer those before the public hearing.
Questions? There'll be questions next month.
Okay.
What? right, at this time, we'll open, no other questions? At this time, we'll open the public hearing at 3:30. And if there's any comments from the public, please come forward and or speak at this time. Seeing no one come forward, we will, we're going to close it at 3:31. I'm cheating it a little bit, but not much. So we'll close the public hearing. And is there any other action that needs to be taken today? Okay. All right, thank you. Next, Stacy, Citizens Advisory Committee Representative appointment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packet is an application that we've received from an individual interested in serving as the Economic Development Representative on the Citizens Advisory Committee. We currently have 6 vacancies in the CAC. This individual, Patricia Ramos Anderson, is from the Santa Nella community, and in her application you can see her career as a public servant of over 32 years with the City of San Jose and the City Manager's Office. She lists quite an extensive background in a number of industries, but she specifically mentions her work with transportation and downtown revitalization, neighborhood development, economic development, and I think it's 3 or 4 pages there, so I won't go over that with you. But we have received your application. It is included, and it is the authority of this board to make those appointments.
Questions? The person that made an application to be on the committee is Patricia Ramos Anderson from Santa Nella. What's the pleasure of the commission?
You want to approve? She looks overly qualified almost. She's got a great background.
Okay. Motion, Joe. Is there a second? Second, Murphy. Questions or comments? Anyone in the public? Members? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Next is a budget amendment for fiscal year 17-18 NOV.
Good afternoon, Board. MCAG is requesting a budget amendment for the 17-18 year. We are requesting to increase our revenue and expenditure by $200,000. The increase is due to the payment management system, which was appointed by the Governing Board to staff back in August. We will be using our current year's allocation for the planning funds. And so if you have any questions, just let me know.
Questions of the finance? Mike?
Not a finance, but I just can't remember. Does that include all the roads in MCAG's jurisdiction, city and county?
Yes, that is correct. All the ones that are, all the ones that are owned and operated by the jurisdictions. We won't be doing Caltrans roads, for example.
Oh, I'm happy with that. That's fine. So, okay, so then when this is finished, then we'll have a complete report of the state of every road within, minus Caltrans roads.
Yes, that is correct.
They're all going to be redone before then.
Well, okay, thank you.
Other questions? So the request is to amend the budget
Yes.
and work program. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
Peralta motion. Second. Who's second? Joe again? Okay.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next is a concept for building renovations, number 17. Patrick.
Thank you very much, sir. I always get the interesting ones. So the reason why we need to have this item today is actually related to a subsequent item on the agenda. It's on the Transit Joint Powers Authority agenda. And the concept that we have is that the building that is currently occupied by MCAG and JPA staff is located at the corner of 18th and K Streets in Merced. Last year, MCAG actually purchased the building right next door. I believe the address is 357 18th Street. I'm getting a nod, thank you. And that building was purchased for $201,000 using MCAG funds. When it was purchased, there was an assumption that transit staff actually wouldn't be remaining in that building. They'd be moving to another facility. Those plans are not coming to fruition. So we now have a building next door, and we need a place to put our transit staff going forward. So the concept that we have is that the building next door will actually be renovated for use specifically by transit staff. The Joint Powers Authority staff as well as the art staff will both move into that building next door after renovation. But importantly, not only will we use federal and state funds to renovate that building, if those federal transit funds are going to be used to renovate that building, then it is appropriate to have the ownership actually be in the Joint Powers Authority and to use transit funds to acquire that building. So at a future meeting, not today, and this is why we're just talking about the concept here, at the future meeting, there would be a sale of property, and the entity selling the property would be MCAG, and the entity purchasing the property would be the Transit Joint Powers Authority. The benefit of that is that federal and state funds would be used to purchase it that are available today, and MCAG would recover the funds that were expended last year to acquire the property. Additionally, MCAG funds won't be needed to refurbish that building because transit funds will be able to be used to refurbish that building. They will remain two separate properties under separate ownership, but we'll be able to refurbish, so the staffs will be able to work together as needed. So the request before you for this is only and expressing a willingness to consider such a transaction in the future. And the reason why it's on here is because under item 19 on the agenda, the JPA needs to approve action so that FTA 5339 funds can be sought to pay 80% of the entire cost of what I just described. And I try to do that as clearly as I could, Mr. Chairman, but I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions? Mike?
Sounds like a good plan. My question is sort of downstream. Does this impact, I'm going to make sure I get the funding source right here. For example, the jurisdictions in the county got LTF funds that were left over from transit. Is that going to impact the amount of leftover funds to jurisdictions if we're using them here?
Certainly not directly. It's we do have some carryover LTF funds from a previous year that we'll be able to use. The amount of funds that are needed, we don't have an exact, we don't have a cost estimate yet on the refurbishing the building inside. We do know that the building itself was purchased for $200,000 last year, so that gives us a good starting point for how much that's going to cost. But for example, if we ended up spending $400,000 total to purchase and acquire this building with transit funds, 80% of that would come from these federal 5339 funds. So 20% would come from LTF funds, but that funding source is already available today. It wouldn't impact a future decision on LTF funds because this is a one-time purchase.
Okay, makes sense.
Other questions? Well, to be honest with you, I have, and I understand that we're not taking official action to take that transition forward today, but we're going to look into it and we're going to get it prepared and have it come back. I would ask that we fully explore the opportunity for that building to stay in the MCAG Association name rather than in one of the JPAs that is part of our organization. And if they're saying that we cannot use those federal funds through MCAG, I understand and I can accept that. But I think that we need to exhaust that before we decide to change the name of the building. I mean, the current building there was purchased and the mortgage was burnt by MCAG. And I know we had plans to expand that to where we'd have a larger meeting room and so on. And I think that we need to leave that option out there. And if we're going to give it to another organization, which the JPA, the Transit JPA is another organization, which everybody's in right now, but somebody may decide they don't want to be in the JPA in the future. Anyhow, I would like to make sure that is the case, and that the only way we can go forward is to transfer that building into ownership of the transit.
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, you thankfully pointed out a point of interest that I should have shared as well. There was $200,000 budgeted this year in MCAG funds to do the refurbishment of both buildings, which was the original plan, but frankly, we don't believe that those allocated funds would be sufficient to improve both that empty shell of a building and the current building. Under the plan that's being proposed, the Joint Powers Authority would own that other building, but MCAG would therefore not need to use its funds to refurbish the other building, and therefore the funds could be used on the existing building to do exactly what you indicated, to provide an improved a boardroom type of a room. We have a meeting room there now, but we'd be able to improve that room over there and to provide a secure entrance, which we also see as an absolute need, and we're able to do that because with the transit staff moving out, we would have the space to accommodate that. And I'm sorry for having left that out of my presentation.
Okay. Any other comments? So I guess the direction that staff wants us to see if we do agree that we should go forward and authorize the going forward with the proposed project. Is there a motion?
Second.
Jim, motion. Mike, second. Discussion, comments? Anyone from the public? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Okay. And so the next item will be item number 19, which is the FTA 5339 grant purchase and rehabilitation of Transit Administrative Office.
I'm going to be taking that, Mr. Chairman. Patrick Pittenger, Executive Director. So this, I just asked the chair to move it up because this is directly related to the previous item. Now, as the Transit Joint Powers Authority, this body is being asked to take action to approve that we formally indicate to the Federal Transit Administration through an application. The funds are actually already available. We just need to tell them what we'd be using for. There are actually several years of funds available. And this project won't even expend all of those funds. So there's more than sufficient funds available, and what we're asking for is action to approve us indicating through an application to FTA that we want to use some of those 5339 funds to move forward with this process. And having said that, as previously indicated, other steps will be required, including getting the award of the grant, and being notified that we can proceed, and then actually going through the process to acquire and refurbish the property.
Okay, so the action requested is for the approval of two different resolutions?
Let's see.
217-1019-03 and the other is a resolution authorizing the acquisition of the building.
Yeah, so as you can see on item 19 on page 165 of the packet, the paper packet in front of me, you can see we have multiple years of funds available there. And let's see. Right, and the point is that we one of the resolutions is actually for I know it's buried, but it's in the third line of the title in the all bold section. It's federal fiscal year 2013 funds and federal fiscal year 2014 funds. As indicated on page 165 on item 19, each of those funding sources are worth over $250,000 and would provide an 80% match. So just those first 2 years, one resolution for each will be, we believe, more than sufficient to fund this project.
Is there a motion to entertain to approve the two resolutions? Now, I took that from the young lady next to you.
I'll second that.
The mayor of Dos Palos. Second, Jim.
The mayor of Atwater.
The mayor of Atwater. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried unanimous. Executive Director's Report. Oh, excuse me, we have one other thing on here, which is item number 18, which is a normal report in regards to Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll take this one as well. I'm going to be relatively brief. We're still compiling the ridership figures for when we had, we're compiling numbers for we know what the ridership was for August. We already reported that last month, but we're tracking, and we look forward to reporting to you more numbers on the free rides that we're providing with the Measure V funds. But this is going to be a little bit different report, more like what I provided to the TRB. A couple of real priorities for us in regards to transit are number one, financial management, making sure that we are, that we're keeping track of all the funds that are coming in, all the funds that are going out, the available funds, and also looking towards the future as far as financial planning for other capital needs. We're taking on some big capital needs right now with the transit operations and maintenance facility, and we have 4 buses and 9 vans arriving in December. So we have about $8 million of capital that are going on right now between the building, but we want to make sure that we are also, not just taking care of today's needs, but looking into the future as far as financial planning for other future capital needs as well. And then I just want to mention, that we have, as the new executive director, diving into all the different things that we have a lot of different contracts under contract now. We have the operations contract for National Express, but we have bus stop cleaning contracts and security contracts. We have the YARTS operations contract, and of course the capital project I just mentioned for the operations and maintenance facility, and as well the associated contracts to that, geotechnical engineering, construction management engineering. So we want to have a big focus on our construction management oversight. And then the last thing regarding transit is I am, as your new executive director, I'm implementing a concept that was actually credited, frankly, to my predecessor. And that is that in the past we have 2 transit systems that are housed out of our offices. One of them is the Joint Powers Authority for Merced the bus, and the other is the YARTS system. And Merced the bus is much larger, has a larger staff, about 6 folks. And YARTS has traditionally had 2 staff members. And one of those staff members is retiring here at the end of the month. And rather than hiring a dedicated to transit only or YARTS only transit staff member, we've decided to, yes, we have brought on another staff member, and yes, Miss Cindy Kelly will remain dedicated to the YARTS system. But beyond that, we're going to treat the employees as more of a pool of resources. So Merced the bus is much larger, and we'll have access to all the resources it has. But we think that both systems can benefit because both systems have a lot in common. We have a grants analyst, for example, and there's definitely grants for both systems. We have customer service needs having for both systems, public involvement efforts. We have a lot of procurement and purchasing requirements that are common to the both. We're about to go out with requests for proposal for YARTS that are for short-range transit plan and for operations and maintenance, and the Joint Powers Authority just went through that. So we really look forward to having a lot of teamwork working together on the implementation of these systems and realizing some economies as we go forward. And we look forward to having a single transit director that will oversee the operations of both. That position is empty at the moment, and I'm temporarily filling in as best I can, but we advertised that position today, and we look very much forward to obtaining a new transit director as we move forward.
Questions? Mike?
Not a question, just sounds like a great idea. So.
Other comments or questions? All right. Executive Director's Report.
I guess that's me too, but thank you very much. I want to,
as long as you make it quick.
I'm trying. Okay, I'll just mention. Let's see. I know it was mentioned previously by Matt Fell. Actually, we didn't know if we were going to make it here in time today. He was actually up at the California Transportation Commission meeting at a public hearing for the ITIP funds, right? And the reason why he was there is last month this board took action to approve the potential use of $5.5 million, and indeed, just to make it very clear, the draft list for ITIP funds did come out related to that project on 99, which is a possible about $70 million price tag, and that project is on the draft list. So that's a great step in the right direction, but we need to keep up our advocacy for that project. You know, Tom Dumas in our corner, I'm sure everything is possible. So that's why Matt was up there making sure that he showed the MCAG flag up there. A reminder that December 21st, after the regularly scheduled MCAG board meeting, we're going to have our 50th anniversary celebration. We look forward to that, and Stacy, I think that's when we're going to have those, hopefully those electric cars there for people to try out. If anybody wants to try an electric car, I can't promise you it'll be the most expensive Tesla, but it will be an electric car and still a good experience. What? No, and I can't promise a make and model. October, I've driven a Nissan Leaf, and even that was fun. October 27th is Dick Whittington's retirement party in downtown Merced from 6 to 9 p.m. It's a Friday evening, so all are invited, of course, and anybody who wants to turn it into a roast is welcome to do so. We have had a couple of staffing changes. I mentioned the transit director position being open. I'll just also make sure, for the record, Nav Baggery's new position is finance director. So congratulations to Nav for being promoted. He's been with the agency for 4 or 5 years in the accounting department. So happy to have Nav move up. Alicia Ochoa-Jones was previously was limited to procurement, but she's now been promoted to purchasing and contracts manager, because both of those things are extremely important, that we make sure we follow all the rules when doing purchasing and contracts. It's an area that is fraught with pitfalls, and we need to make sure we do a good job in. Not that we haven't, but that is a position that deserves to be elevated, and that means we have a lower position available right now for a financial analyst. That's also open to backfill for those promotions. And finally, our next meeting is on November 16th, and that's, November 16th. And then the day, that'll be a regularly scheduled meeting. The next day, November 17th, is our board retreat in Merced at the Merced College Business Center downtown. And I will invite any board members, and get in touch with me about agenda items. I'm finalizing the agenda, and of course, we're going to talk about policy level, governing board policy level stuff. We're going to talk about goals for the agency, about financial planning for things like the transit system, like I talked about. As Stacy mentioned, K&N's going to come and talk to us about their financial advisory services related to Measure V. And there are a couple other issues I want to make sure that we talk about, such as the RTIF, the Regional Transportation Impact Fees. We want to make sure that we know how we're going to be moving forward with that regionally. And my last comment is that Stacy and Nav and I are going to be attending the Focus on the Future event in San Francisco, the 29th through the 31st. That is put together by the Self-Help Counties group, and it's for counties that have passed measures like Merced County has. And this is our first year as an actual member, not just aspiring. We're actually a self-help county now. And I very much look forward to working with our colleagues and learning from them about their experiences implementing their measures. And I'll take any questions if there are any.
Any questions of Patrick? Mike?
Just a question about the retreat. Is it all day, or does it need to be all day, or?
Well,
we've got other jobs during the day.
I
so
know
it's a
I know you have
full
other
day off.
jobs during the day, and it is definitely a special, not an everyday event. We're looking at we are and 9 to 3 is what we're looking at, and we hope if necessary to work through lunch, and we'll be as flexible as we can. But I think there are some significant issues that we need to hopefully discuss, and we're very happy that, for example, K&N can come, and I think we need to move forward one way or another with the RTIF as well. So that, I'll just tell you, the answer to the question is that I'm planning on a 9 to 3. So that is most of the day, I admit.
You're going to be there too, Merced,
November
aren't you?
17th. November 17th. November 17th.
Yeah.
At one point, I had requested potentially the 26th, but there wasn't a good response, and we changed it to this November 17th. You're not imagining.
Other questions, comments? Lloyd?
Yes, sir.
Director's reports.
Nothing to report other than, well, actually, thanks, Mike. I'd like to thank Caltrans, Tom. I really appreciate you coming here and listening to us and working on stuff. I know, hopefully I don't sound like a broken record, but we really appreciate it.
I appreciate not getting started with everything.
Lee?
I just want to congratulate Dick on his retirement. I'm hoping to be there at the party. And then I wanted to thank Marty for the tour today. Director O'Banion and I went out to see Highway 59 landfill, and it's a lot bigger than what I had remembered. So I plan to visit it regularly to kind of see it build up. Thank you.
It's full of garbage. Joe?
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody a safe Halloween. Gustine's having a trunk or treat on Main Street. I think they have about 34 cars lined up with trunks open, full of candy and decorations. And last year there was probably 500 or 600 kids up and down the street. And hopefully I'll make it to Dick's retirement. And everybody, please remember Veterans Day on November 11th.
Mayor Dos Palos.
Thank you. Dos Palos is having a trunk or treat as well on the 31st. But we are also having our 80th annual Halloween parade on the 31st, which is Halloween. It will be celebrated 80 years of walking down Dos Palos Main Street. So it's going to be a big celebration this year. We are also having a Veterans Day at Marks Elementary School on the 6th, I think. I think it's the 6th. And we did have a cleanup day, so Waste Management, thank you so much for having us coming to Dos Palos and helping clean up Dos Palos. We are trying really hard to clean up our streets, and the JV football team came out to support that day, and we had food for them, and we didn't have very many varsity kids because they got beat the night before, but the varsity had won, or the JV had won, so they came to help me, and that's about it, but thank you very much.
April, I think that's on Thursday the 9th.
Oh, could be. It's Thursday the 9th. No. Is that Veterans Day?
No, the 11th is Veterans
The 11th is Veterans Day, but I think
Do we
it's
have the
scheduled for
the Friday off?
Thursday.
Okay.
It's during the week because
It is, because
school
I'm
kids.
singing. So come and hear me sing, because I'm be singing that day.
Maybe you can get it and make Patrick put it out to all the different jurisdictions.
Yeah. I'll be singing.
Jim?
Thank you. I don't know whether or not there's anything to it or not, but the gentleman that spoke at public comment, he's come before the board here several times that I can recall, and he always kind of brings up some safety issues. So I know, Patrick, you're kind of taken up that charge right now, but things such as a light bulb and wrong colored ones and things like that on buses seem to be pretty trivial by discussion, but they are huge if something happens by way of an accident. So it might be worth kind of looking into that, because like I say, I've heard him bring a lot of safety issues before the board, and whether they're valid or not, I have no idea, and I'm not going to pretend that I do know, but it may bear looking into. This Saturday at 9 o'clock over at the Starbucks over in Atwater, right by the Tractor Supply and all that, if you're familiar with that, by the CHP. It's going to be Coffee with a Cop. It's just a way of expressing to our local police officers, our appreciation for what they do, especially in light of the events that have happened in Atwater here over the last several days. I'm particularly proud of the guys that keep us safe over in our city. We want to also, thank the LAFCO yesterday. For those that don't know, we had a unanimous decision for the annexation of the Ferrari project, and that's a big deal to us, and I'll be coming probably and bugging Tom about transportation issues and things over there. And speaking of other issues having to do with that, or with transportation issues, and I'll be probably asking you down the road, I didn't bring it up during your presentation today, but the northbound exit at Applegate, and also for Bell Road, and where we are in prioritizing some sort of a deceleration lane for both north and southbound exits right there. Other than that, November 11th, we're going to also in Atwater have a Veterans Day celebration at Veterans Park, 4 o'clock, and it's usually a pretty good one. So for those that would like to come out and honor the vets at Veterans Park in Atwater, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Mike? Nothing? Council? Steve? Or you, Patrick? The only thing I have is I noticed that the two agenda meetings that are coming up for the Measure V discussions, one of them is on Wednesday, one's on Thursday. And I think they're both at 10 o'clock. I'd like to request that the meeting in Gustine, which is the west side, be considered for 1 o'clock. I have a standing meeting on that Thursday every month with the retirement board of the county. So if it can be done, if it doesn't interfere with anyone else, that's fine. If it doesn't, I will not be able to be at that meeting. All right?
Since you're retiring.
Well, I want to make sure that the retirement's still there.
So Stacy is making notes.
I saw her writing notes just now.
Don't worry, she's the one.
I don't know. If it can't be done, that's okay. But I'm just saying, I'd ask that we do it if we can. Okay, anything else to come before the meeting?
Jerry?
Mike?
I'm good if you want to do that.
Well, let's let her work it out.
Yeah, they'll work it out.
Thanks. Anything else come before the meeting? This has got to be a record.
No, the one in...
I move that we close this meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose. Let the record show that one person opposed, and I do not want it identified. I do not want her identified. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming. Hey.
Mike and I were arguing. We want to know how old you were at the first Halloween.